Shoot. Oh, here it is. And tonight, I would like to call to order the Committee of the Whole. And tonight we have a guest speaker, and I'd like to thank Matthew Coates for being here with his team. You may recall, not that long ago, we had a workshop session and brainstormed with Matthew, and he's gone off and done some work and is ready to show us some of the results of our feedback. This isn't anything that requires action on behalf of the council, but we just wanted to keep you informed and updated on what our thoughts are starting to look like in terms of a vision on paper. So Matthew, Mr. Coates, thank you for being here, and I will turn the meeting over to whoever is going to let you share your screen.
You're on mute.
Oh, should I just go ahead and start sharing?
I think so.
Okay, I'll just check. Hello, everybody. It's nice to see you all again, as usual. We've made some good progress. We've been working with the steering committee group on the comments and the direction provided at the last session, I think about a month or two ago. Time flies. And we understood that I'm so sorry. The dogs. Would you? Okay, I apologize. The last time we met with you, the direction was essentially, as we understood it, to take the old floor plan and the program of the original design, the one that had the cafe and the kitchen and the exhibit space and the meeting area, and kind of combine that with the newer massing concept, the structural design of the newer one, simply because that one actually cost less and it also had been further developed. And so we've combined those two things together over the past month or so, and we're excited to show you the progress and kind of bring you up to speed on where we are and what that looks like once we've got those two things together. So I will go ahead and share my screen then. Let me see one sec. Is everyone's seeing what I'm seeing? Excellent, excellent. Thank you all. So this is the site plan. Just to reorient you, I know most of you have seen this before, but the Wishkaw's over here with the bridge. And so I believe, you know, downtown is downtown is the left. This is F Street right here with the highway running through here. So that's our building, and the site plan hasn't really necessarily changed that much because the footprint is fundamentally the same. It really occupies essentially the same kind of footprint as it always has, you know, staying within the boundaries there of the site of the setbacks. And here's the fun part. This is where we took kind of the old idea and put it into this new plan. And so I'll just start here at the vestibule. There's a vestibule here. This would be the main entrance off of F Street. And there's a little vestibule that can be, you know, locked for after hours if necessary. And then once you come in, we actually, as a part of the gift shop, this was one thing that came up recently as a suggestion, which was, wouldn't it be great to have a little information kiosk like right there when you walk in, so that people can, you know, whether we put someone there for DNR or just information about the community, you know, depending on what they come in for, whether it's I want a coffee or I'm here for an event or I need to use the bathroom or I'm meeting with so-and-so from the county, whatever that might be. This is a great spot for that. And so there would be a little desk and an information kiosk right inside the door, actually essentially part of the gift shop here. And then as you come in the door here, this open space is still thought of as being the main event space and exhibit space. So if there was the desire to show some historical artifacts with the historical museum, this is where that could happen. It could exhibit all kinds of different things in here, and we've incorporated some large doors right here so that if we want to bring that big old fire truck in here, we can do that as well, and other exhibits, you know, because there might be a need for that. And then over on this side, In the back, this has always been and probably always will be the loading and storage area. We've got a big mechanical room that's going to be absolutely necessary for this large of a building. We've got this loading area, which is going to be important for stocking things, being able to move things in and out of the building. And then this is the kitchen. So we talked about having a commercial kitchen that could be rented out perhaps by community members who, might have a small businesses, or they have a food truck and they want to, I think the health code requires them to have an association with a commercial kitchen. So, your community members could have a food truck that's connected to this kitchen. There's been talk about working with the college as well. So we've got room for that kitchen right back here. There's a serving area up front. And then this whole area here can be used for seating. And the idea is that it would be very flexible. So most of the seating in that area would be movable, so that if you did have a big event, that seating could be moved out of the way, put into the storage area, and you could, have an event in this whole lower floor for the most part. One suggestion, I don't recall who made it, but it was a great idea, is to open this up, this cafe, and actually have some outdoor seating. So we're kind of showing like a bifold door system that would open up wide, like on those summer days, when you just, want that indoor-outdoor connection, where this could open up and have a bunch of outdoor seating here, which I think is a fantastic, fantastic idea. That area is going to get a lot of sun in the summer. Could be really nice. And on the other side of the wing here, and I wanted to point out both sides here, we brought back that idea of these panels, and these are large. I think they're about 10 feet tall and about, I want to say 6 feet wide, something like that. And they're big CLT, cross-laminated timber panels that can rotate and either close the space off. So if you want to have this whole space closed off, or it can open up and have the whole space feel open and connected, because those are going to be pretty wide openings when those panels are open. Excuse me. And we laid this out with seating just to see, like, in the event that you had a large gathering of people and wanted to do a food service or a sit down gathering, how many people could we fit in here? And I believe the number is 184 people just in this space alone, not including this area. So if you wanted to do a gathering of people, you can fit 184 in here, assuming that the stage would fold down. There's going to be a retractable stage that would fold down. And I would assume at that type of an event, you would want the stage to be there. So we didn't show tables in that area, but obviously if you didn't need the stage, you could put even more tables. And then in the right side wing here, we've got storage, because those tables and chairs have to go somewhere. Then a mechanical room for this whole wing of the building as well. Does anyone have questions about the first floor before I move on? I can't see everyone, so please speak up if you have a question.
Matthew,
Otherwise,
this is Liz.
oh yes, please.
Hi.
Hi.
Are you allowing for some solar panel kinds of inverters and things in your first floor storage facilities?
Yeah, those could be mounted. I'm not the expert on where they should be mounted, but my imagination is that they should be mounted in this room here, which is the primary mechanical room. And so they could be mounted on the walls here. Yes.
Very good.
Thank you for asking. There's plenty of room in that mechanical area for those sorts of things. In fact, I would bet if I show up in 10 years, it's going to be filled with other things too, because it's a pretty big room. And then on the second floor, if I may, the idea here was you come up these stairs that wind around the elevator core, and the elevator core is made out of CLT panels as well. So it's this beautiful wood core kind of going up through the building. So you either take the stairs or you take the elevator up, and you are sort of dropped off on this catwalk that kind of looks out over the exhibit space and through the windows at the bridge. I personally think it's going to be a fantastic view and very dramatic experience to come up here. And then at either side, we have offices. So on this side, We have a pretty large office here. I don't have the square footage on me, and an office here. Now, these could be obviously jointly operated, owned and operated, or they could be separate entities that lease that space from you. And then there's a kind of a common workroom that would have your printers and your paper storage and all that kind of stuff, along with restrooms within that vestibule as well. And then on the other side, the south side here, there's a large office floor plate, and we've left it flexible. It wasn't really part of our scope to like lay out the office, but depending on who the tenant is, you know, either they'll have someone lay out their space. We're happy to help if they're interested to have us do it. But one way or another, that'll get laid out with, you know, the furniture and potentially even partition walls, however they want to see that done. Same with the other space. And then as a group, we were thinking, wouldn't it be great if this was a large conference room that could be rented out? Or, you know, I don't know if you want to rent it or just have it available to community members, but I thought that was a great idea. I think that might have been the mayor's idea, is to kind of do that. And then because we had a little smaller, and we moved the toilet room over here to make this a nice big rectangle. And I think we decided you could get like 20 or 30 people in there. If you like, a couple dozen people could attend a big meeting there. If you had one or two big conference tables, you know, and you'd have a display area, you could have projection capabilities and all that. So that's kind of where we ended up in terms of the program. And then I'll run. Are there any questions before I carry on?
This is Liz again. I had one more
Yeah.
question about the first floor. The kitchen,
sure.
it's not easy to see the detail, but
Yeah, well, in fairness, we haven't designed the kitchen yet. So
okay.
honestly, that's going to be a kitchen consultant. I'm not an I mean, I've designed a lot of kitchens, but there is, I should say, Liz, there is a kitchen consultant on the team who will lay this out with all the equipment. You know, they're experts in this. They can do it in their sleep. So
Awesome.
they'll be helping. They'll be helping with that. Yeah.
I was missing the coolers.
Sure. Yeah, we're just at this early stage where we're kind of seeking approval on the general layout. But I assure you you're going to see more detail as we go through the project.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. So I'll go ahead and I'll just kind of go through the drawings. So these are the elevations of the building. This is the front. You see this whole facade is a timber storefront. We're hoping that we can, there's been talk of possibly working with Sierra Pacific on a maybe an in-kind donation or some kind of discount for sponsorship. That's not really my purview, but they have an excellent wood or timber storefront system. So we're kind of designing around that as a potential scenario for how this would look, but it would be essentially all glass. It could be really dramatic. And then these are the other elevations. So this is the west and the south elevation here. And I think this probably what helps tell the story the best is this section, because you can really see like how the spaces will be shaped, right? Especially these office spaces, and how the structure is going to be designed with these, they're essentially called bar joists. I think they're like a hybrid wood and metal system, and they're actually pretty attractive. They're really effective, cost effective, and they lend, I think, an interesting texture to the building. And we did a few quick renderings. Now these aren't, photo quality. We haven't done everything we can, but I wanted to show you something about how that space might look. So this is an approximation, if you will, of how the exhibit space of the big gathering space, the big meeting room, on the I guess it's the west side. This is an example of what that might look like. And way up there is the stage. So you can see it's a pretty good sized room. It's a pretty good sized room. And these are those panels that will rotate. And we still have these windows here, and I definitely think that we should, if you decide it's appropriate, consider some blackout screens that would come down and in case there was a projection or a performance or something going on in there. And here's a rendering of the main space, so the big exhibit space in the middle, and you can see, I guess we got the same guy. He's kind of pouting. Sorry about that. That's really funny. As are these panels, and so this is the big space. So the main entry is over there. You'd walk up those stairs and come out to this catwalk here. And I think, one thing we incorporated into the design, which I hope you agree is successful, is that, the roof actually floats above this whole space. So you really get clear story glazing and indirect daylight in from all sides of this building. And so it's really going to be a beautiful, bright space inside here. Here's an example. A quick rendering of what an office space might look like upstairs. I mean, obviously it's an approximation, but it gives you some idea of what that might look like, because we still have that exposed structure, kind of the angled roof opening up to the outdoors with lots of glazing. And here's a quick rendering of what the cafeteria might look like. Again, a lot of the idea is flexibility. So a lot of this furniture is, movable, and please don't take the furniture literally. This is not like a literal example of what we .3D capabilities, but we'll find chairs that have backs and that are comfortable. We're not going to put it's just an approximation of kind of what that space looks like. This is the entry to the kitchen. Back you all still hearing me? Okay, sorry, I had a little blip on my internet.
It's breaking up a little bit.
You're on mute, Matthew.
Oh, I'm back? Okay, I apologize. For some reason, it just
There
kicked
you
me
go.
right out. I apologize. I'm not sure. Technology, you gotta love it. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, so there's the serving area up front where the counter would be. And we did a quick rendering also of the outside kind of. So this is that area outside the cafeteria. So those are those doors right there that could really like open up. And then we showed some cafe tables and things like that. And there's going to be this cool stairway that comes down. We need that stairway for egress if it's a code requirement, but I think it can actually be a pretty cool feature as well. And then I don't know if you all remember, but this is part of our drainage plan. So we actually take the rainwater through this trough and bring it out into the plaza, and it'll trickle down through this trough into a little rain garden thing here. And that's what this is. It's sculptural, but the idea is that it actually is kind of a feature. When it's raining, you'll see this water kind of trickling down there. And that's actually on both sides. You have that same thing on the other side as well. And here's I think this is the last view. We just want to give you an idea. There was this idea to use kind of the local glass. God, forgive me, I forgot the name of it. The local glass company.
Opal Art Glass.
Yeah. Thank you. We really, and I think it's totally appropriate that every effort is made to use local business, to the extent allowable and appropriate. Artisans, craftspeople, builders, whoever, the community can put to work. It would be a fantastic example of the talent in your community in Aberdeen and in Grays Harbor. And so we just wanted to show a little reference to that. This is an image of the stairway that goes up to the catwalk. And so you're looking north in this view from the catwalk. And so right down there where that lady is, that is the main entrance and the information area right there. So that's the that's the update. I apologize. My voice is a little hoarse, so I apologize if I don't sound quite as normal. I'm getting over it, but anyhow, that's what we have for you tonight. I would love to answer any questions you have. I've got Bob and Hutch here as well. If anybody has questions, I hope that you see some real progress here and that you're pleased with the result.
Matthew, this is Liz again,
Hi,
and
Liz.
I'm rather delighted by everything I see. This is really sweet. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Um,
I'm so glad to hear that.
So I think it was the image of the eating area, the cafeteria. It looked like there were these floating, there's the ceiling and then there's these floating sort of joists underneath. What's that about?
So those are they're not quite accurate to what reality is. They're called Hutch, right? They're called bar joists, aren't they? Called bar joists. They're hybrid. So there's wood up on the bottom, and then there's wood on the top, and then there's this thin metal pieces in between, and they're really cost effective. I want to see if I can actually find an image. I don't know if I can. Do you guys? I'm trying to think of an example, like a building around there. It's really it's not just pieces of wood floating in the air. There's going to be these crosses. That's actually what you're looking at is a truss.
I got it.
Right.
You know, and again, this is an approximation. I mean, we did this just to kind of give you an idea. These are quick renderings. We just wanted to give you some kind of a concept so that you could at least visualize the space. And as we go forward, if you want better renderings, we can absolutely do that are more accurate. But they're not just like pieces of wood floating; they're actual trusses.
Okay, thank you. And then I was wondering, I love the use of the CLT panels. Could those be used for hanging, displaying artwork or historic pictures? Or would that not be an intended use for a panel like that?
So the two places that we're using the CLT right now, primarily is the elevator core, this walkway right here, and then these panels that rotate. And I mean, I don't see a reason why you couldn't exhibit artwork on those panels. I mean, obviously we have to think about how they get fastened and whether you want to have screws going, into the wood. But I think, we can help you. There are all kinds of beautiful stainless steel art display hardware systems that if you felt like those walls are prime real estate, and there's, flat pieces of work that don't stick out too far, I think that, yeah, absolutely, that's really valuable space that could be used for artwork. Now, my only concern would be not just the holes in finding good hardware so that doesn't look odd, but when they're in the open position, people will be able to walk in and out. And so I would think you wouldn't want something that it sticks out too far, because then people might bump into it and knock it off the wall. So I think as long as it's flat against the wall, you'd be fine. And then certainly, this elevator core, yeah, you could hang something up here for sure. In looking at this, Liz, you bring up a good question. It's something that occurred to me. I mean, look at all this wall space. I mean, you've got amazing space to hang all kinds of artwork and artifacts and things in this. I mean, it really is going to be effective at exhibiting all kinds of different pieces that you might have in mind or have available that you want to kind of show off or exhibit for the community. So,
I
yeah.
guess another approach would be to use those big doors as mural space that
Sure.
that work independently, and then when they're all closed, they create a extended thing.
Yeah, that's certainly, I mean, I love the idea of, I think we talked about whether, I think Aberdeen does not have a public art program, but, for this building, it might be a neat idea if you feel so inclined to engage in a public art competition for those types of things in this building, because there are so many opportunities to integrate art into this building and the landscape, not just in the building,
Yeah.
but the whole site is just ripe with opportunity for your local artists.
Thank you, Matthew. Do any other council members have questions for Matthew?
I was going to ask about when you were talking about the artistic possibility. As much as I love the 1980s computer beige, the possibilities there. You're right, and art spaces that can be easily transferred rather than made permanent, and all of that. But is let's see. I was going to ask you about the collection of rain, and you kind of answered that. But those doors that swivel, does that have a way of acoustically sealing that room as well? I mean, it's not soundproof, obviously. You're not going to make a studio out of it, but I noticed in some of the meeting rooms that I've been to in some places in the state, when they close those doors, you can hear whatever everybody's doing in all the other rooms anyway.
Yeah. That's a really good question. I don't envision that it's going to be some hugely acoustically separate. I mean, it's going to make a huge difference, but it's not going to be like you can't hear what's going on. I mean, the reality is there's going to be probably a 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch gap between those panels. Now, if council decides that that's important and wants to give us direction to figure that out, we'll figure it out. I can assure you that we can figure that out.
But looking at this, this is a man. Look what we got here, kind of thing. This is amazing. I'm really impressed.
Oh, thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
I wanted to say too, I just love it. You guys have done a fantastic job with
thank you.
with the suggestions and ideas that we put forth. So.
Oh, thank you so much. That's what we're striving for. So I'm glad to hear that.
Just like to echo what Councilmember Ross said, this is a much better rendering than what we saw previously, and really fits with what I had initially seen and could support. So bravo, great job.
Thank you, sir. I really appreciate that.
Mr. Gordon?
Yes, the one thing I'm curious about, have we talked to the fire department about if these doors that close should be a fire door or anything for a safety corridor for people leaving the building? I'd like to be that on board also.
Yes, sir. There are standard fire codes for assembly spaces, and if I can share the screen, and Bob, I would love if you would chime in if I say something. Bob up there is our code expert in our office, so I rely on him. But this is considered an assembly space, and my understanding of the quantity of people in here, we need essentially 2 exits, and this is one exit, and then this door right here is the other exit out this way.
That's right. The pivoting doors are not a required exit.
I hope that makes sense. Okay, thank you, sir. So we're super excited. Oh, Liz has a question.
Matthew, so
Yes.
involving local artists and talent is a fabulous thing for us to do, but what's the critical timing in all of that?
Well, actually, maybe that's not a question for Matthew so much as that's a question that has been, discussed. Earlier this year, the city council did give approval for a project manager, and the funding we got from the state allows for that. And so that was actually going to be one of the next steps we talked about, is how are we going to bring someone on who is going to work with us to bring all of these different ideas and pieces together. And so Lisa Scott is working on an RFP that will come to us to review to make sure that whatever charge we give this person meets our vision of how we want them to help us pull all these different pieces together. Because when we had our workshop, you remember, we had all kinds of questions about who's going to go in there, what's going to look like, what's everybody's role, and how do we bring in different businesses in the region and really celebrate Grays Harbor. And so that is something that is a next step, Councilwoman Ellis. And so in short order, we will be seeing a draft RFP from Lisa Scott on what we want this person to do for us. And one of the things that we learned in the past was that we really, we've learned the hard way what we don't want it to look like. And so this next time we really are committed to making sure the council understands what this person is being asked to do, and that we involve our downtown partners and our, and the region. And so we're working on that. And that is something the council asked us to do a few months ago, and it's starting to come to fruition now that Matthew has taken all of our ideas. We feel a little more comfortable on taking that next step.
Super, thank you very much.
Did I answer that right, Lisa?
Yes, you did. In fact, I was going to mention it. We're going to look to bring that draft forward at the next council meeting on the 10th.
And that was one of the reasons for having Mr. Coates here tonight, was to make sure that in reading the room that we're going in a direction that mirrors what, the council, we tossed a ton of ideas at him, and now he's, kind of coalesced them and has given us something to look at. And it sounds like we're pretty comfortable taking that next step. And because that's, that would be important to have someone who is gonna bring us all together and take all of our other ideas on these other topics that really aren't part of, what we've asked Matthew to do. Does anyone have any other questions for Matthew Coates or his team? Well, seeing none, thank you, Matthew, for making time on a Wednesday evening to come and share your work with us. It's really important, and we're just happy to get to know you better and keep going on this project.
Thank you, likewise. And I know I've really enjoyed the meetings I've had with the steering committee, and it's been a true collaboration, and I appreciate your enthusiasm and your involvement. It really actually helps us to have your input, and we're super excited and honored to be helping you with this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, unless council members have anything else for Matthew, I'm going to continue with our agenda. And next on our agenda is we usually hear from our department heads. And let me find my space here. Our first department head would be our Community Development Director, Lisa Scott.
Thank you, Council President Shaw, Mayor and City Council. So I know every council meeting I get on here and say how extremely busy we are, and I know you hear that every month or every couple weeks, and it gets. I'd like to try to put some context behind that, and I shared with the Finance Committee tonight that as of this morning, we're sitting at 254 building permits that we have done so far since the first of the year. Those are extremely high numbers for our department. We're seeing the numbers similar to what we'd see in late spring and early summer. So it has been crazy busy with new commercial, remodel commercial, new residential, remodel residential. So good. I think we're seeing really good signs. Next week, I'll be sending out to you where we're at for the first 2 months of the year. We're projecting higher than we had thought when we started the budget process. So really good signs. And I hope we can continue that development for the remainder of the year. So we're just tracking on the right line. So that's really good. I also want to mention the small business grants that the council approved. Greater Grace Harbor, Lynette Buffington, their chief executive officer, has been absolutely phenomenal in overseeing that small business grant. As of Monday, we had 13 people apply, 11 that are qualified. So I want to just give a shout out. If any of our hospitality industry within the city of Aberdeen has not yet applied, please reach out to Greater Grace Harbor. The application link is also on the city's website, but we do have some money left for that. Hopefully the first part of March, we'll have a report from Greater Grace Harbor on where we sit, and I'm hoping it'll all be gone by then. And we've been able to help a lot of businesses. So thank you, City Council and Greater Grace Harbor for all of the help with that. I know our businesses truly do appreciate that. As Council President Shaw mentioned, we are looking to bring the RFP forward for a project manager for the Gateway Center on March 10th. This week's been busy. We had a development team meeting on possibly a project for redoing the Thunderbird Motel. Part of it would be demolition and part of it would be remodeled. So as we get more information on that, we'll be bringing that forward. Had a meeting on the floodplain, the community rating system, with trying to see what we can do for the CRS program and lowering flood rates for the citizens in Aberdeen. So good use with that. We continued work on the comp plan. We have finished the first 3 focus groups aimed at public works, economic development, and housing. So we're compiling that information as we go, and we are continuing to plug away every month on the comp plan. Again, we look to have that first draft out for public review sometime probably in late May, early June. So good things on that. We've been working with Main Street, both with the ad hoc committee and with their, I guess it's the Downtown Aberdeen Association, also known as Main Street and also known as ARM. So we've been working with the ad hoc committee on that, trying to get the scope of work done, as well as the DAA group. And we hope to have that contract to council on the 10th with the draft scope of work. And as soon as we can get that done, we'll get it out to everybody for review. Also, we're looking at the March 10th council meeting to bring forward the adoption of the 2018 building code. So we'll be looking to bring that forward. And then the final thing is we've got word that the governor extended the no eviction moratorium till June. So that means that we'll be bringing back to council, I think, the budget approved through the end of March, funding for the temporary alternative shelter location and at City Hall. So we'll be looking forward to bring forward an amendment to that budget that'll take us to the new date on the moratorium. So again, good news on the building permit. So I just wanted to finish that out. And I know Public Works they aren't included in that, and they've been processing 40 permits, and that's a lot for them at this time of the year as well. So everybody's been extremely busy, and we just keep going at it. So if there's any questions, please reach out to me at any time. Thank you.
Do any council members have questions for Director Scott tonight? I just had one quick question. You said 2018 building codes? Yes. Yes, they were supposed to have been, the state was supposed to have brought those in last year. We're usually on a 2-year cycle. And the state, they delayed that. They were supposed to come in July, and then they delayed it. They thought they were going to bring them in at the end of the year, and now they're bringing them in. They brought them in February. So we're looking to adopt them. There was talk that they were even going to not do 2018 because we're due to bring in the 2020 codes next year, but they went ahead and they brought in the 18. So we'll be bringing that forward. Okay, thank you. You're welcome. So our next department head is our Corporation Counsel, Patrice Kent, on behalf of the Corporation Counsel and the courts.
Hi, thank you, everyone. And tonight I have no report, so thank you.
Thank you. Next is our Finance Director, Patricia Soul.
Thank you, Council President. The Finance Committee met tonight at 6 p.m. and I will let Committee Chair Cashman report out for Finance, unless you have questions for me.
No, thank you. Fire Chief Hubbard.
Good evening, Tom Hubbard, Fire Chief, Aberdeen Fire Department. Public Safety met at 6:30 tonight, and I will defer comments to Co-Chair Councilperson Rich Rod.
Thank you. And it'll come up later in our meeting, but council members, Councilmember Andrews won't be joining us tonight. Something came up. So next is our Parks Director, Stacy Barnum.
Thank you, Council President Shaw. On the agenda tonight, I have 2 items. The first item is the request for the disposal of the artificial turf, which I believe I had mentioned at the last City Council meeting that if the request for public surplus was not approved, that I would bring a report for disposal to the council. So that is on the agenda. The other item we have on the agenda is to approve for the mayor to sign the contract for the fireworks. Our plan right now is, even if we are unable to have the Splash Festival, we would still like to have the fireworks show. Last year, there were a number of communities that were still able to provide fireworks. And so we would like to do that this year. There was a question on a down payment. We did not make a down payment to the fireworks company last year. That was to the inflatable and ride company that we use, that they are allowing us to carry that over to this year. And this fireworks company was new last year. That would have been the first year that we've worked with them.
Okay.
So since we did not have Splash, this would be the first year that we've worked with this particular fireworks company. The company that we had worked with a number of years before that is no longer in business. And that's it, unless anyone had any questions.
Councilmember Ellis.
Director Barnum, did you happen to look into laser light shows as an option for this coming year?
Mm-mm. Is there a company in particular or a show somewhere in particular that you've seen?
I went noodling on the internet, and Lake Oswego does their 4th of July light show is a laser show. I don't know who does it, but I guess I would start with the Port of Grays Harbor and find out who they had put on their laser light show not too long ago.
Okay, thank you.
Obviously, we're catch up from last year, but so with this particular company, but that's an intriguing idea. Councilmember Kennedy.
Thank you. I just had a quick question. If Splash is unable to happen, would the location of the fireworks display change so that it would be more visible to residents, so that they might not have to congregate in one area and be that close together?
As of right now, the plan is not to move the location. There are some setback requirements for fire code for a display of this size. What we would encourage people to do is stay in their vehicles. And so we would do a synchronized music display, so that if you turned on your radio in your car, you could hear the music as the fireworks show is going off, as a way to try to encourage people to stay in their vehicles. But that's a good suggestion, looking for an alternate location.
Councilmember Kennedy again.
One other thing, since you're going to do music, not just radio, have you looked into maybe doing a internet stream, so that, if somebody, wanted to stream it on their phone or some other device over the internet, they could stream the music portion that way rather than trying to tune in via radio?
No, that's a good idea. And I'm not sure, that might be something that We work with the local radio stations to broadcast. Maybe they could do a live stream on the internet. That's a good idea. I'll make a note of that. Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions? Oh, Councilmember Ellis.
I was wanting to know with the turf, artificial turf, is it possible to put that on pallets and maybe get it under cover for a few weeks so it can dry out and then we won't be paying to dispose of water and
I don't even want to think about trying to do that.
Mm.
It takes a very large piece of equipment just to pick one up. And then we'd have, yeah, I understand what you're trying to accomplish, but that's a pretty big undertaking.
Well, and the other thing that I would say is that the whole reason we're disposing of it properly is we don't want all that runoff.
Yeah.
Is tarping it an option?
We can look at it.
Okay, well, thank you,
Thanks.
Director Barnum. Next, our next department head is Police Chief Steve Shumate.
Thank you, Council President Shaw. Steve Shumate, Aberdeen Police, and I too will defer to Public Safety Vice Chair Ellen Richrod. And I'm available for any questions.
Does anyone have anything for Chief Shumate tonight?
Yes, Councilperson Ellis.
Chief, how are those electric bicycles working out?
Oh, well, so they're anxious to get going. The equipment has arrived and they have attached them to them, but unfortunately they have to wait till they go through the proper training. So we are setting that up as we speak and getting our folks through that, but they're anxious to get going. So
excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Public Works Director Rick Sanger.
Thank you. Public Works Director Rick Singer here. We had our Public Works Committee yesterday at 4 o'clock. Typically, I defer everything to our Public Works Chair, but I do want to talk about a couple things tonight, and actually they're the same subject. And Public Works has taken over the downtown cleanup 8 days ago. In those 8 days, we have picked up 121 shopping carts, what we're not sure what to do with now, and about 10 yards of garbage. So that is a 10-yard dump truck. So there was a lot of stuff out there. So we are working hard at it. The second item is the same thing, the downtown cleanup. I've asked the Public Works Chair to request an amendment to the motion that was approved from the previous council meeting 2 weeks ago, where we asked for $20,000 for temp employees for the downtown cleanup. In that motion comment period, it was asked, and I don't remember who asked it, but it was asked whether the city would be adding staff. And Stacy commented that she was, at the time, Stacy was going to administer this and she was going to hire express personnel. I asked Stacy if I could administer it since it was coming to Public Works anyway. And because we already had summer help on staff that we could use, and we could just bump them from temporary part-time to temporary full-time, which doesn't change any liability for the city. We did that, and then we realized that when we talked about it at council, that we said they were going to come from Express. So I'm hoping that Nathan can make an amendment to allow us to hire our summer helps, our temporaries through the city. There's a couple of reasons. I mean, temp agencies are great, but in this case, we'd like to hire them and put them on the payroll, because the 2 employees that we're talking about have been either once was the will that was with the cleanup through parks and community development for a couple of years now, and the other is a 5-year employee of the city of Aberdeen as a summer help while he's been in college. If we were going to actually hire him through a temp agency, we'd have to fire him from the city and then have him go apply at the temp agency. and then we would pay them more money and they would pay him less money. So what happens is we get to pay these guys a little bit more, about $1 an hour more than they would make at the temp agency. And we get more man hours because we're not paying that that administration fee that comes with going through a temp agency. So I think it works for us really well. It still gives us the time we need to transition to the plan has always been to transition. I have a couple openings in Public Works, and the plan is to transition at least one of those positions, one of those openings, into a FTE for this position. But in the meantime, this fills the gap. So if
I think you shared some of the end game with us last time. Are you saying that the motion was such that your hands are a little bit tied and you need us to clarify and you don't have the wiggle room? Or?
Well, the concern that came forward was that in the motion to asking for the 20,000 supplemental budget, it was stated that we were going to hire through Express Personnel or another temp agency. And as it turns out, we'd rather hire them and put them on the city payroll and get, we have a history with these two kids, and we know what we're getting. We know they're good employees, and we know they're, the temp agency is really a good option if we don't know what we're getting. So we just are trying to get a clarification so that what we've done is following what we've asked for.
Okay. Do any council members have questions for Director Sanger? Well, thank you. We appreciate you coming back for clarification. Oh, Councilmember Ellis.
Thank you. I had to practice my wave.
Sorry.
Director Sanger, there was a overflow at the water processing treatment plant recently. And
Yes,
I just wonder, how often does something like that happen? And do we need to expand or upgrade our facility at all to address something like that?
Yeah. I think the last time it happened was 2006 or 2007. It does happen when all things line up, where we have a tremendous amount of rain for a prolonged period, and we have some biological issues going on at the plant where the filament filament is one of the bacteria, and it actually is able to carry over. It's there's a true balancing act. We have, before you were on council, this was it was done when we did the rate study, and we identified the capital improvement projects, and I think everybody was a little in shock, but we came back. We have about $30 million worth of improvements at our treatment plant, and that's what the rate study was identified, and the structure was put in place to address those. So we have been working hard on improving the plant, and it's going to be, I believe, about a 10-year period to get it to where it needs to be.
Thank you. That also kind of addresses another concern I have over the rate increase, and especially at a time when so many people are hurting. Is there a chance that the city could apply for like emergency funds to cover some of that $30 million and take a little bit of the load off of our ratepayers?
We apply for everything that comes out. Every year we have a application. We qualify normally for a 50% forgivable principal. So this is all on planning and design, sometimes construction. But yes, we leave no stone unturned.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do any council members have anything else for our department heads before we move on to the mayor's report? Seeing none, Mayor Shave, do you have anything for us tonight?
Thank you. All I have is just want to mention that spoke with LeMays and we're going to go ahead with spring cleanup this year as in the springtime, actually. And as normal and move forward with that. Last fall on our spring cleanup, we have a $50,000 budget for that. And last fall, we did $48,910 worth of garbage. So there's a lot of years when we're over the 50,000, and then there's a few years when we've been under. And last year we hit it right on the nail, and that's what you hope for. So I just thought I'd share that I think that's a good program, and it seems to work pretty well. So that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for the mayor?
Liz does.
Hi, Mayor.
Hi.
So, Public Works Director mentioned all of those shopping carts, and if this is something I should be bringing up at our full council meeting, just let me know. I wonder if you've looked into implementing or proposing a shopping cart ordinance that would at least allow the city to collect fines from businesses that are responsible for their carts leaving their premises.
We've had some conversation in that direction. If at all possible, we really don't want to get into fining our businesses like that, but a direction that Lisa Scott and I are meeting with some of the business owners whose carts are involved and going to try to work out some sort of solution. Clearly, the cost of the shopping carts as presented by one of the stores last year is astronomical, the losses. And so we believe we have some ideas that should be acceptable to those businesses without going into fining them or changing an ordinance or something. Hopefully. Patrice has her hand up.
Hi, Corporation Counsel Patrice Kent, talking about shopping cart ordinances. We passed, I think it was 2 years ago, we have a shopping cart ordinance at AMC 8.08, which includes signage and shopping carts that are off-site, and it does include some sort of impoundment, retrieval, and notification to the owners as well.
I would suggest that we look at this as a cost recovery rather than a fine.
It is administrative impoundment fee of $30. That's at 8.08.100B2.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully the conversation Lisa and I are proposing is will eliminate the city having to pick them up and store them and then present a fine.
Yeah, I hope those discussions are successful, and if that doesn't pan out, then we can talk about next steps.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So at this time on our agenda, we move into our non-standing committee reports. And each council member has an opportunity to share what they've been doing since we last met that's not on the agenda. Our first council person we'll ask to speak is Councilmember Ellis.
Yikes. I don't have my calendar handy. I know I've been super busy attending Public Works Committee meeting most recently and reading up on our stormwater management plan and doing some other research. But nothing really fabulous to report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Francie.
Oh, I have nothing to report this week. Thank you.
Councilmember Gordon. You're on mute, Frank. You're mute. There you go.
I'm off mute now. Okay. Last week I was at a pretty enjoyable meeting with Chehalis Basin on the dam and fisheries. It was a 4-hour meeting, but it was very worthwhile. We have another 4-hour meeting tomorrow morning on the same subject, trying to get our governor on the same page as we are. So it's been a really interesting time, and if anybody's interested, it's at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, and you can look it up. It's on the Chehalis Basin, and it's a really worthwhile if you have some spare time. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. I think everything was well represented on the previous meeting. I think I saw 3 council members on that call, and you're right. It was a meeting, but very informative.
Yes, thank you.
Councilmember Cashman.
Good evening. I attended the Southwest Washington Regional Transportation Planning Organization meeting that took place via Zoom on February 17th. It was largely a BAU meeting. However, they did do some prioritization for some public transit projects, and a few of the projects did impact Grays Harbor, including Grays Harbor Transit, sustaining some existing fixed and demand routes, and some bus replacements, and I believe some van replacements for CAP as well. So it's nice to see some projects for Grays Harbor continuing to be prioritized for us. And that's all that I had.
Thank you. Council Member Kennedy.
Good evening. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, I had a conflict with the Grays Harbor Historical Seaport Board meeting the other night, but that conflict was actually a really good and productive meeting with our little ad hoc group to talk about the DAA and Main Street projects and getting that stuff going. So it was well worth missing it, and I hope to get together with their board of directors, Brandy Bednarik, and get a report for you for the next meeting. That's all.
Thank you. Councilmember Mackey.
Good evening, everybody. I have nothing this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Richrod.
I have nothing outside of the safety committee stuff.
Thank you. Councilmember Ross.
Yes, thank you. I attended the board meeting for Downtown Aberdeen Association last Thursday morning, and a couple of things that we discussed or learned. The state cap on B&O tax this year has been lowered down to 90,000. Last year it was 133,000, so that will directly impact some of our funding options. We've been working on some Main Street education for board members, and there's a lot of opportunities there, which I think are very beneficial. The executive director has submitted the reports, which we all saw earlier, I think last month, to the state association and also to city. And he's been consulting with several different groups for future business opportunities in our downtown area. We're wrapping up the February promotional for the local businesses. We had 24 businesses participate in the Hearts program, and they'll be drawing prizes for that on Saturday. They're also every couple of weeks doing a spotlight on business and social media which I think is a great opportunity for people to learn about businesses they might not know very much about. And we're looking forward to getting together with the Aberdeen Police Department and taking a picture of those new bicycles. We're very excited about that. And that's it for me.
Thank you. Councilmember Short.
I have nothing this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. So with that, I think that concludes our committee of the whole, and I will adjourn committee of the whole and turn it over to the mayor for the council meeting.
Thank you. This is Mayor Shave, and it is Wednesday, February 24th, 2021 at 8:20 p.m. And I call this meeting to order. Public comment period is included during the Zoom video meetings. The public was notified that if they wish to speak during the meeting, an email be sent to Patricia Soul, City Clerk, and indicate if they would like to speak or have a clerk read their comment. If they desire to comment live, they will be called on during the meeting and allowed to speak for 3 minutes. Written comments be provided before the meeting have been provided to city council members and will be read into the record up to the current 3 minutes. Ms. Soul, would you do roll call, please?
Councilmember Andrews. Councilmember Ellis.
Yes, here.
Councilmember Francie.
Here.
Councilmember Gordon.
Here.
Councilmember Cashman.
Here.
Councilmember Kennedy.
Present.
Councilmember Mackey.
Here.
Councilmember Richrod.
Here.
Councilmember Ross.
Here.
Councilmember Shaw.
Here.
Councilmember Short.
Here.
Mayor Shave.
Here.
All present excepting Councilmember Andrews.
Thank you.
Mayor Shave, I would like to excuse Councilmember Andrews.
Second.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to excuse Councilmember Andrews. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hey,
Any opposed? Councilmember Andrews is excused.
Mayor Shave,
Council President Shaw, you have the floor.
I would move that we approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to approve the minutes of the previous meeting. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
hey,
Any opposed? The motion carries. Do we have any additions or deletions? Seeing none, moving on to public comment.
Mayor Shave, Mayor Shave,
Yes,
just a point of order. I want to make sure we follow up on Director Sanger's suggestion that we amend a previous motion. Should that be an addition or deletion, or can we just do that?
let's, Nathan.
I spoke with Corporation Counsel Patrice Kent earlier today, and we decided that it would be better to do that when I do the committee chair report for Public Works.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure.
Thank you, Deanne. Okay. City Clerk Soul, is there any public comments?
Oh, Mayor, there was none.
Thank you. So moving on to Finance Committee Chair Catchman.
Good evening, everyone. Finance met this evening at 6 o'clock via Zoom. And let me just get over to my notes here. Largely, we discussed the agenda items as well as the reports that Director Barnum and Scott discussed earlier in the meeting. So first, I move that we approve expenditures and payroll.
I second.
Motion was made and seconded to approve the expenditures and payroll. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote, please.
Okay, I want to read the numbers into the record. Motion to approve accounts payable in the total amount of $401,732.50 and payroll in the total amount of $93,269. Check numbers 25056 through 25077 and 72183 through 72346 and wire 1242. Roll call. Andrews. Councilmember Ellis.
Yes.
Councilmember Francie.
Yes.
Councilmember Gordon.
You're muted, Frank.
Yes, sorry.
Councilmember Cashman.
Yes.
Councilmember Kennedy.
Yes.
Councilmember Mackey.
Yes.
Councilmember Richrod.
Yes.
Councilmember Ross.
Yes.
Councilmember Shaw.
Yes.
Councilmember Short.
Yes.
Approved by all members present.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, we have a report from Finance and the Parks Director recommending that the City Council declare the city-owned artificial turf to have no value, all staff to surplus the artificial turf, and authorize the Parks Director to properly dispose of the turf at a local landfill at a cost not to exceed $8,000. I move we adopt this report.
I second.
Who had the second?
Everybody.
I did.
I heard Joshua.
Oh, and I put Ross down. So
Okay, I knew there was another one, so thank you. Motion was made and seconded to approve this report. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The report is adopted.
And last thing for Finance Committee is a report from Finance and the Parks Director recommending that the City Council authorize the mayor to sign the production agreement with Pyro Spectaculars North, Inc. for the Splash Fireworks Show in the amount of $12,700. I move we adopt this report.
I second.
Motion was made and seconded to adopt this report. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Ellis.
Yeah, I have a number of concerns with fireworks that are explosives. I know a lot of people and animals suffer stress from the noise late at night. There's a vast amount of litter associated with that. This contract requires that the city pick up a lot of the cleanup. And I would just like us to look into perhaps a laser light show as an alternative to fireworks for 2022.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none, all in favor of this report, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. This report is adopted.
That is all from the Finance Committee tonight, Mayor.
Thank you, Committee Chair Gatchman. Committee Chair report from Public Works, Nathan Kennedy.
Good evening. Public Works met yesterday via Zoom and at 4 o'clock. And as usual, we had a lot of really good discussion, even though we only have a couple of items on the agenda tonight. We had some really good discussion about the downtown cleanup and how that's been going, as well as our agenda items and a couple of new bits of business that we'll hopefully see some action on in the future. So moving on, the first thing I would like to do, as Rick Sanger brought up, I would like to move to amend The February 10th motion for authorization for up to $20,000 for 2 temporary workers through Express Professionals administered by Parks Department for downtown cleanup to substitute hiring through City of Aberdeen temporary employees administered by Public Works Department.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to adopt this amendment. Is there any discussion? Under discussion, Nathan?
So one thing that we did speak about, Patrice and I, was that the purpose of this is to reflect in-house executive responsibilities and to reduce the administrative costs while meeting the intent related to cost and temporary position. No addition to full-time permanent positions with the city as a result of this amendment. So there's not going to be, any more full-time positions right now. So this is just changing the way that we're doing it a little bit.
Also, I think it's actually a cost savings overall.
Yeah, and the fact that we get to use people that are already there and know what they're going to do, it's like, I think it's a golden opportunity.
Very good, thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. So
okay,
that should cover that. So
yes. Okay, so moving on, we have a public hearing. So this is the date set for public hearing on the annual project plan for the 2021 Stormwater Management Plan. I move that we open the public hearing.
Oh.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to open the public hearing. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
The motion carries. Public hearing is open. Was there any correspondence on the public hearing?
No.
Okay, thank you.
I would like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Oh,
Oh, right, Liz, you had something.
may I make a comment?
Part of the public.
Okay, thank
Actually,
you.
I think first I need to retract my motion, right? Because I just made a motion to close it. So I retract my motion to close the public hearing.
Thank you. I just wanted to comment that our plan includes it covers a lot of ground, and there were a few things I'd like to at least suggest get looked at for some edits or additions. It sure would be helpful to have some pictures in this document, and maybe a link to WSU and Washington Department of Ecology's Rain Garden Handbook, which has a lot of very useful information in it. The public education and involvement parts, I'd like to see some of that reframed so it's not so much that we don't want to see people doing such and so, but here are some good ways that residents and businesses can help the city with stormwater management. And I think what I'll do is I'll type up these notes and send them directly to Public Works. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, next we have a report from Public Works and the Public Works Director recommending that the City Council shall pass a resolution approving the Transportation Benefit District 2021 Annual Project Plan. I move that
Second.
we adopt this report.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to adopt this report. Is there any discussion?
Mayor Shave?
Yes.
So just for clarification for next time, because we're all learning as we go, I think that the public hearing is for the public, and if members want to make comment, under reports and communication would be the time for council members to share their thoughts. So as council members, we don't, the public hearing is for us to hear from the public, not to hear from ourselves.
Thank you. Any other?
Councilmember Ellis, I'm not trying to, it's all good.
May I ask for some clarification? So I should have brought that up while we were before the council meeting formally started, when we were at as a committee of the whole.
Right now would be the time for you to share your thoughts.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Patrice has a comment, so that might clarify something here.
Right, thank you very much, Mayor Shave, Council President Shaw, and Council Member Ellis. So yes, the purpose of the public hearing is for the members of the public. Generally, after at the closure of public hearing or when the public hearing itself is introduced, that is the time that council has traditionally provided their input as they are making a decision as to whether or not to pass the action for which there was a public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the motion is the resolution approving the Transportation Benefit District.
This is the report.
I mean, the report to move, yeah. And so is there any more discussion? Councilmember Ellis.
Thank you. There's a number of really fine projects on this list. And the sidewalk repair and sidewalk construction projects particularly give the city an opportunity to do some public art. And just one sort of idea is integrating something easy, something that is very low cost that our crews could do, to put like a hopscotch into the sidewalk pattern when it's being poured, particularly near a school or some other art element that helps define our city however we choose. And I know this could get to be a big thing, like where we'd want maybe some artists involved in guiding some of that. But between the small projects and some of the really big capital projects that are coming along, it could be an opportunity for us to just put some fun and perhaps splash of color into some of the infrastructure. Thank you.
Councilmember Kennedy.
Thank you. I actually almost forgot to mention that one of the things Public Works mentioned at our meeting is that they are really excited to get started on some of the work, and some of the work that's on this current project plan is actually overflow from last year that they were not able to get to due to COVID. So they've got a lot of stuff on there, and they're ready to get to it.
Good. Any other comments? Seeing none, all in favor of the report, say aye.
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 Any opposed? The report is adopted.
Okay, and the last, we have a resolution approving the annual project plan for the Transportation Benefit District for the year 2021. I move that we accept this resolution.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to approve the resolution. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. The resolution is approved.
And it's resolution 2021-07.
Okay. Thank you.
And that is all from Public Works.
Thank you, Committee Chair Kennedy. Committee Co-Chair Rich Rod for Public Safety tonight.
Yeah, public safety met at 6:30. And we don't have anything on the agenda, general agenda tonight, but I had a couple of notes from the discussion that we had. Let me pull up start with fire department. Excuse me, the fire department staff, as you all know, have been working on the new building plans and have been meeting with TCA Architecture, the firm that's doing the work with the design and concepts. And they've met recently in the last few days with them on the design concepts and the assessment project, the assessment part of the project. In other words, what the buildings are going to look like and what they're going to have in them. And good progress is being made, as it says. What they're discussing is where are the bathrooms going to be? Where's the kitchen going to be? What are the offices going to look like? And what are the fire station needs as far as equipment? And those kind of questions that have to be answered. And Chief Hubbard was saying that they're very cooperative on both sides, and there's a lot of good information being passed back and forth, and he's pretty excited about that. And one of the things that's being considered is the expansion due to an RFA, a rural fire association between the cities, and allowing for that in the future if we really fulfill that to where we end up being a rural fire association between Aberdeen, Hoquiam, Cosmopolis, whatever, however that happens to end up, that we can allow for that. I'm just speaking from notes here, so if there's any detailed questions, Chief Hubbard is here to bail me out. Let's see. Oh, there was some discussion of the way we fund the EMS and Trauma Care Council. There's some legal problems with that, and those are being addressed in the legislature, specifically Senate Bill 5341. And that is encountering some hurdles as well. And that, of course, has to be funded, and they're working that out. And if there's any questions from council on that, I'm going to pass off to Chief Hubbard to answer those. But my sense of it was that the hurdles are being met with some other hurdles, and they're going to get over it. But we can't possibly afford to lose the EMS authority, that we can't lose the funding for that. Let's see. Oh, and we talked about, I'm going to be putting some of this up on my news page on Facebook as well, but we talked about the problems with getting COVID vaccines to everybody that needs them. And a lot of that stems from the lack of vaccines that we have. The county health department told me that I believe last month they had, I think it was like 1,700 or 1,900 doses, followed up the next month with 400, which is not nearly enough. And now that we have a new vaccine, apparently passing tests from Johnson & Johnson's, a single shot vaccine that is proving in the high 90 percentile effective rate, that is going to help some. But I want to, if the public is listening, the number is 360-591-1876. That's the COVID hotline to the county health department if you have questions. Margot Short and I are both on the list. I think we're 1B, I think it was,
Yeah.
right after healthcare workers. We're still waiting, but there is information sometimes floating around on Facebook to just pull up there at the port or wherever they're doing it and just ask to be vaccinated, and it doesn't really work that way. The chief was saying that there was a situation in Thurston County where it's kind of just willy-nilly and there is no organization behind it, and it's really fallen apart. And we're doing a pretty good job with the limited resources that we have. And there's a bunch of volunteers that are working their hearts out to try to get people on the list notified as to when their appointments will be. And the state was also, I noticed the state was sending out emails. I got one saying you're approved for your vaccination. That doesn't mean anything. That's not the way the county's working.
Has anybody noticed the city electronic sign out and about with that phone number on it?
I've noticed that it's kind of all over town.
Yeah. We needed to give one of our electronic signs a good workout, and so I called and asked if we could put these numbers on it and move it around town, and Public Works was very happy to do that, and it's working out real well. So
yeah, it's kind of hard to miss it. You'll find it somewhere. Let's see. And as far as the police notes were pretty extensive. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on, but the feasibility study for essentially the new police station is scheduled on, let's see, the 1st with Matthew Coates and his firm. They will be discussing what shape the new police facility is going to be. It's criminal justice facilities. What shape that's going to be taking soon. Essentially, it's similar to what the fire stations are doing, but this is going to be the police station. And the police department put in several grants, one for LiDAR and speed measuring equipment, and that went through. Unfortunately, they didn't get any grants for the trailers like the mayor was just talking about. There's speed trailers. You see them in Montesano and other cities, and we didn't get that, but we're going to try again. One thing I did want to mention was we had a good discussion with Chief Shumate about police reform bills. There's 4 in the legislature right now, and there is concern that though some of the let me switch back. Some of the reasons for some of these police reform and law enforcement reform bills are justified. His concern that a lot of it comes from national scope, which is true, and some of it comes from, for example, out of the big cities, Seattle and Tacoma, and these are going to be statewide legislative bills. So what may be necessary in the city of Seattle may not work at all in the rural areas like Grays Harbor. And these are wending their way through committee. They're not laws yet. So he and his team have been working very closely with legislators to make sure that this one size fits all approach either gets modified so that that's not what happens, or that the one size really does fit. And they're working really hard with that. And I very much appreciate the work that they put into this. And so we are pretty fortunate that the problems that law enforcement is having around the country, in instance after instance, we seem to be able to escape that here. We have a really good police chief and a really good police force. So I'm glad that they're on that with our legislators, who seem to be willing to help with that. And I think with that, that's pretty much it. We don't have anything on the agenda, as I say, so that's pretty much it.
Okay, thank you. Special agenda items, Council President Shaw.
Thank you, Marshave. We do have some special agenda items tonight. First is a report from personnel and the mayor recommending that the City Council adopt the recommendation of hiring Debbie Mills as the new Human Resources Director, effective immediately. I move we adopt this report.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to adopt this report. Is there any discussion? Seeing none.
Discussion, I'd like to invite the mayor to share some information with us about the new finance director.
Yes. No.
Human Resources Director.
Oh, I'm
Yes.
sorry. Patricia, don't get up off the floor.
The first thing I'd like to do is read her cover letter, because it gives a ton of information in that, and then I'll go on from there. But she says, I'm writing to express my interest in serving as the Human Resources Director of the City of Aberdeen. As you review my resume, you will see that my current and prior human resources positions in the public sector have provided me the necessary experience to be successful as the Human Resources Director for the City of Aberdeen. Being a human resources generalist requires a comprehensive understanding of a wide range of subject matter areas. My background encompasses, I can't make my lips move right. My background encompasses a wide range of human resource functions, including recruitment and selection, onboarding, classification and comprehension, labor relations, grievances, performance management, policy development, wellness, safety, workers' compensation, leave administration, discipline, benefits administration, supervisory responsibilities, budget, coordination of investigations, and serving as the civil service chief examiner or secretary for police and fire. I have worked with Washington City's Insurance Authority, Association of Washington Cities, AWC Retro Rating Program, Public Safety Testing, and past member of AWC's Employee Benefit Advisory Committee. The reason I am mentioning this is working with all of these agencies will help me hit the ground running should I be selected. In addition to my experience above, I have great people skills that give me the ability to work collaboratively with all levels of employees, external customers and unions, flexibility, building and maintaining respectful working relationships, and providing clear and consistent HR practices and policies is important in creating a positive and successful work environment. My current and past work have prepared me to readily assume the duties and responsibilities of the Human Resources Director as well as provide support and leadership to the city of Aberdeen, as I am interested in returning to a smaller size agency where I can know everyone by their first name and advance in my career. I look forward to the opportunity to interview for the city of Aberdeen. So, nice letter. She's has 6 years experience as an HR analyst, and she's done going through her list of work experience and responsibilities. She's pretty much done it all, including, did I mention, union negotiations. She has 5 years as an HR manager. So she currently works for Kirkland, the city of Kirkland. She's spent a lot of time working for the city of Issaquah, as well as the city of Snoqualmie. So, any questions? Katie.
Yeah, Mayor, I just had a comment for the council that the mayor invited me to listen in on the interview, and I completely agree with what's written in the cover letter, and I hope that council will approve this.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councilmember Ellis.
When would she start?
March 1st,
Thank you.
Monday. If council approves, she'll be ready to start Monday. Any other questions, discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor of approving this report, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. The report is adopted. Thank you. Council President Shaw.
Thank you, Mayor. We have a report from Personnel and Human Resources recommending that the City Council approve the request to promote and increase pay for Maintenance Worker 3 position effective January 1, 2021. I move we adopt this report.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to adopt this report. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carries. Okay, Council President Shaw.
We have a third special agenda item. This has been on our agenda a couple of times. This will probably be our last time seeing it in this form. But for those who are listening, this report is offered as information only and no action is recommended. On January 25th, 2021, David Haviland, representing Ward 1, Position 1, resigned via email effective immediately. Under city and state law, the city council members are charged with replacing a vacancy in the council. All interested voters from Ward 1 should provide letters of interest along with a resume to Mayor Shave by Friday, March 5th, 2021, to allow city council to review and make a selection for a qualified person to fill the vacancy.
Okay, thank you.
So that would conclude special agenda items. Next.
Okay. Under appointments, I would like to appoint Katie Catchman to the Park Board. As the council representative for a one-year term ending 12/31/21.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to approve Katie to the Park Board. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. You're it, Councilmember
Thanks,
Katz.
Mayor. Hopefully my husband didn't hear this.
Thank you. So now I'm going to move to City Council comment period. Any council members? Councilmember Kennedy?
Yes, I'd just like to touch on the available council position for Ward 1. I want to just reach out to any voters in Ward 1 and say, do not make this an easy decision on us, please. If you have any interest in being on city council or just being a part of, what we do, please, make it known and send a letter into the mayor. And don't make it easy. Give us a pool of people that we're going to have to, fight over. Because especially when we have to appoint somebody, I just feel that, we should really see a good representation from the ward and be able to, choose somebody that is going to represent you well for the duration of that term. So come on, get those recommendations into us.
We have one at this point. So I couldn't agree with what you said more. Lots of people filing. Okay, anyone else? Any other comments by the council? Councilmember Ellis?
Thank you, Mayor. In reading through the surface water management plan, it got me thinking that we have a lot of new projects happening in Aberdeen, and I would hope that especially those public projects that are in the works, like police and fire, and perhaps the Gateway Center, could incorporate elements of landscaping that really serve to give people a visual of this is what can be done in a way that creates a really beautiful spot that's low maintenance and helps to capture surface water and clean water and do a number of helpful things. So I just wanted to bring that up, and it was a beautiful day for gardening. And so I was outside in my garden today looking at, oh, maybe I'll pull up some of this lawn that's turning to moss anyway and plant perennials here and just do away with more high maintenance lawn and have less mowing to do this coming summer. So we can all help out in our own ways at whatever levels. Thank you.
Thank you. I noticed the lawn is not wasting any time, starting to grow already too. Councilmember Gordon.
Can you hear me or am I on mute?
Yep.
You're good.
Okay, hey, the biggest thing I like to ask is I see most of the people downtown still wearing a mask. Don't give up on your shot. Call the phone number that's on this truck you see scattered all over and make sure you're on the list. It won't automatically get you a shot, but it'll get you on the list. They will notify you when it's your turn. But please, if everybody does their part, we'll be able to have a normal fall. And so, but if a whole bunch of us, especially some of you young men, want to be macho and not wear one, you're not just hurting yourself, you're hurting all of us. So please, 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 please. Thank you.
Thank you. The best way to proceed to get your shot is to go online and fill out their application. That's the preferred way. The phone number that we're giving out is for anybody, but it's the reason we're doing it is because there were a number of people contacted us that said they weren't able to use the online system for whatever their reason. And so we decided to just get the phone number out there a little bit for them to help in that case. So anybody else? Councilmember Richrod.
Just real quick, that's exactly right. That phone number, if for some reason you can't use email or don't have text ability, that's usually how they will contact you for a vaccination appointment. But if you call that number, they will make other arrangements. They'll find a way to get a hold of you when your time comes up to get vaccinated. And something else I wanted to mention that has nothing to do with any of that. If it would be possible for whoever arranges the agendas each week, I don't know whether that's you, Patricia, or who does that, but it would really be helpful for each report citation to be linked within the document, hyperlinked within the document, so you could click on that and it would go directly to it. Because like the last time the agenda was 200 pages, and to try to find those quickly is tough, and it can be easy to set up links in there. I assume that they're being written in Word or something like that and then transferred to PDF, although you can do it in Adobe Acrobat as well. But I would like to see if we could consider doing that.
We will look into it for you. Thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else on the council that want to? Council President Shaw.
Mayor, I had two things tonight. The first thing is a request. I was wondering if you would share with the council the vacancies for appointments that you have, so that if anybody is interested in any of those, I could let you know, because I know there's several unfilled positions that we certainly don't want to give up our influence, our seat on any of these local boards and committees. So if you could just share with us what all you're trying to fill, that might help us get there quicker.
I'll look into that right away this week.
And the other thing that I wanted to bring up tonight is, you're going to love this, a request for another workshop. So tonight is another perfect example of the enormity of the projects that we have going on, and how can we promised ourselves that we were going to really try and get our brains around our capital needs in this city. And so I would like to propose, we got quite a few Wednesdays this month, and I would like to propose that we have a workshop on either the 17th or the 31st in March. That would be the third Wednesday or the final Wednesday.
And that's for
that would be for the chance for staff to share with us these various different capital facilities needs that come to us, and then to also share our priorities and start to come together. What did I do wrong, Patrice?
No, you didn't do anything wrong. It's just a reminder that the regular city council meetings are the 2nd, 4th, and 5th. And so if you choose to replace the 5th with a workshop on the 31st, that's just procedurally something to remember.
Right, I know. I mean, oftentimes that's what we do. We don't have that last one, but if we want to have a workshop, that one's available. Is that how we think of it, right?
Yeah.
But the 31st seemed kind of far away, so I thought I'd throw out the 17th in case we wanted one sooner rather than the end of March. I think we could be ready with some information to share, but I would, I guess maybe, are there any department heads that think they wouldn't be ready to share their capital facility needs by the 17th? And we're just looking to get broad overview so the council can share its thoughts on priorities and what we're thinking. Chief Shoemaker.
Thank you, Council President Shaw. Yeah, so as you know, Chief Hubbard has come back to the council for additional funding for his process. And I do believe Director Scott had made mention that the police department at some point would be coming back as well. So I think by then we certainly could be in a position to provide some additional information on that. What we're going through right now, as Councilman Richrod made mention, is really that phase 1 of evaluating our facility. While I think it needs to be replaced, we certainly want the experts to say, okay, it does need to be replaced, or perhaps it doesn't need to be replaced. And then if it does, that's what that phase 1 does. It gives us an assessment of what our current facility is. And then phase 2 would be diving into the, okay, then what do we do? Where do we do it? And then what does that look like? And so I think between now and then, we certainly can provide more information. And as Councilman Rich Rod made mention, all next week is the meetings that we have with Coates Design. So I think the 17th, we'll certainly have more information.
Okay. Thank you for that, because I know we approved the RFPs to go out and get all this information and on everything, but it's still not too soon for the council to have a really good picture of the overall need citywide.
Stacy.
I just wanted some clarification. So for the capital projects, are you looking for things also within the park system, like restroom buildings and bridges? Is that what you're looking for? Or are you just looking for big things like a fire station, a sewer treatment plant?
Well, let's we can certainly we can schedule the meeting and then maybe talk more about what that looks like as we prepare information for the council. But I think anything that is a capital need, we need to have the whole picture.
Thank you.
So I'm not seeing any disagreement. So I think then let's have a workshop on the 17th. If our clerk could help us set that up, that would be terrific.
I will get it set up.
Okay. If I have a question or concern on that subject, and Rick is still here, so we budgeted for a new roof on this building, and we put that off as a precaution in case COVID messed up our budgets, something fierce. So we held off on that. But Rick, I guess what I'm asking is should we move forward with that now? Does the council approve that we could move forward with that?
We are, well, I'm glad you brought it up because we're planning on moving forward with it. So we've already brought it up with
I just wanted to get it out.
One of our engineers. There's two options. There's a overlay. Basically, it's a membrane that goes over the top of it, and it extends the life for about 10 to 15 years, or there's a complete replacement, which is going to be a 25 or 30 year. And then we're also looking at changing the structure of the roof, adding some pitch to, we got that top piece with all the mechanical that, flat roofs aren't great in Aberdeen. So we were looking at a couple different options, but we were absolutely planning on moving forward. So if you don't want us to move forward, you let us know.
No, that's not what I said.
Okay, I know.
I know we were ready to be further along early last year, and we put it off. And so I just wanted to get it out in the open to the council that we want to move forward with that at this point. That's going to be a big project. If anybody noticed, the bank across the street behind us put a new roof on, and they didn't just cover their flat roof, they actually rebuilt the whole thing and pitched it up at a nice angle. And that's something that Rick's talking about that we're looking at here.
Yeah, that's exact same circumstance we're looking at, incorporating in our roof.
So, okay, I just wanted to throw that out there so council was aware of it.
Okay.
At least Lisa.
Yeah, I had a quick question. Council President Shaw, were you interested in bringing up, I know we have that real estate group that we'll be getting together to talk about property, but are you also interested in this workshop talking about potential future property purchases? Because I know police and fire that may need property purchase for those facilities moving forward. and some other lines like that. Would you rather not have that come before this workshop and come through a real estate transaction, or do you want it all discussed here?
Well, our real estate is our process for declaring property surplus, I thought. If we have a possible property purchase in conjunction with our capital needs, I think it's all part of the same package. The other, that committee is for of all, what's a surplus process, right?
Surplus, and I believe we threw purchase in there as well.
Oh, did we? Yeah. Well, we still would have to go through the process, but it can't hurt for the council to know it's coming.
Okay, I just want to know what to be prepared with on that, so thank you.
And obviously, that's the reason for the workshop. We don't know.
We're winging it.
Anybody else? Nathan, you had your hand up. That's right.
Yeah, I was just curious, do we actually need a motion and vote to approve the workshop?
I don't think so.
I don't think.
It's a regular, we have a meeting, but it can't hurt if you want to make a motion, never hurts.
Well, I don't think we can have a workshop where we're all meeting together without doing that.
Okay.
Patrice?
Well, you do have to have a motion for a special meeting. And you would also have to have a motion if you are replacing the final regular meeting with a special meeting. And the workshop would be the special meeting.
Well, thanks for asking, Councilman Kennedy. I didn't think that we did, so I so move.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to have a council workshop on the 17th to discuss facility needs. Is there any comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 The motion carries. Oh, any opposed? The motion carries. So we will have a council workshop on March 17th.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Anything else from council?
Well, I move we adjourn if nobody else has anything to say.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to adjourn. If there's no objections, I will adjourn this meeting. Thank you,
Good night,
everyone.
everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night,
Good night,
everybody.
everybody.
Stay healthy.